Jim Jordan, who's pulling together some of the strongest minds he knows, which doesn't say very much about them, which is a wild group of COVID truthers and January 6th deniers. And he's referring to them for no reason at all as whistleblowers. Now, what exactly will these kooks be weighing in on? Well, apparently they're experts being called to testify on the politicization of federal law enforcement, because of course they are. And the hearing went just as you may imagine. Jim Jordan not knowing how committees work and plowing through legitimate questioning. Let's watch.
Point of order is, why does Rule 11, Clause 2, subsection E1A not apply to this subcommittee? I can read for you. Each committee shall keep a complete record of all committee action, which shall include, in the case of a meeting or hearing transcript, a substantially verbatim account of remarks actually made during the proceedings, subject only to some technical things. Such records shall be the property of the House, and each member, delegate, and the resident commissioner shall have access thereto. Why does that not apply? Where is the whistleblower exception in the rules of Congress that says that does not apply?
It's the prerogative of the committee to decide.
No,
it's the
rules of the House.
We have the whistleblower testimony. The whistleblower does not wish that to be made available to the Democrats at this time.
The whistleblower doesn't make committee rules, sir.
Mr. Lynch is recognized for 5 minutes of questioning.
Now, I can't emphasize enough that these whistleblowers are just a bunch of losers that Jim Jordan gathered together and made a team out of. But the hearing continued, so let's watch some more of this.
Mr. Chairman, it's my understanding that
are you making a point of order?
No, I'm asking you a question.
Okay.
A point of inquiry.
Okay.
It's my understanding that the minority in this committee under the rules is entitled to the same testimony, information, documents that the majority is entitled to. So, I mean, I'm not aware that you're able to withhold information from the minority that we would need to use to prepare for.
When it comes to whistleblowers, you're not. And I would just remind the committee, remind everyone. Look, Alan,
Mr. Chairman, these individuals have been determined not to be whistleblowers. These are not whistleblowers. They've been determined by the agency not to be whistleblowers. Are you deciding that they're whistleblowers?
Yes, the law decides. Did you not listen to Mr. Levitt's testimony? Did you not read the law? The law decides that they are whistleblowers.
His attorney is
asserting recognizes that they are the gentlelady from New York. The gentlelady from New York has been recognized.
The law has not determined they are whistleblowers. His attorney is just asserting that.
Now, Jim Jordan was questioned about these witnesses and payments from Trump advisors, and he responded again, just as you might imagine he did.
Talking a lot about in the point of this press conference, the point of the hearing is to talk about how the FBI is politicized. But do you think it's appropriate for some of these whistleblowers, including two who will be at your hearing today, to be paid by one of the former president's closest advisors, Kash Patel, who's active?
They got a family. How are they supposed to feed their family? 450 days. The FBI has kept Mr. O'Boyle in limbo, where he can't work without pay. He's got 4 kids.
He's got 4 kids. They had to send those payments to him. Ethics be damned. I don't care how bad it looks. O'Boyle has to feed his 4 children. I've been calling this group of people losers this entire segment, and I'll stand by that. They are losers. But I have to laugh at myself a little bit, because here I am cracking up at the upending of congressional procedure, which is something that only someone severely politically brained might find funny. But I digress. Let's get into a little bit of background on how this panel came to be. From The Guardian, in February, Republicans in the House of Representatives created a panel on what they say is the politicization of the FBI and Justice Department against conservatives. Critics saw it as an attempt to entangle Joe Biden in spurious investigations ahead of next year's election. Because if there's a group of people that has been discriminated against by law enforcement in this country systemically for decades, for centuries, it's conservatives. But basically what they're saying is they're complaining that they're being bullied by the FBI. Whether or not they did crimes that would warrant an FBI investigation is irrelevant. They're being bullied by the FBI. But let's talk about what happened today. from The Guardian, witnesses set to testify to Congress about the quote, weaponization of the United States government on Thursday have links to far-right groups and a history of supporting conspiracy theories about coronavirus vaccines, and of course also the January 6th insurrection, a congressional watchdog has warned. Now, here are some of the goons on the loser team that Representative Jordan brought together. First is Stephen Friend, who's a former FBI special agent and a QAnon believer. Then there's Garrett O'Boyle, who's got those 4 kids he desperately needs to feed, who's also a former FBI special agent who doesn't believe in the vaccine. Marcus Allen is a staff, or was a staff operations specialist for the FBI, also a January 6th supporter. And then last, but certainly maybe least, is Tristan Leavitt, who was the president of Empower Oversight and also a January 6th supporter. Kyle Heurig, who is the executive director of the Congressional Integrity Project, had this to say to The Guardian: those witnesses are extreme, even by Jim Jordan's standards, but we shouldn't be surprised that he's continuing to handpick conspiracy theorists and insurrection supporters to appear before the so-called weaponization subcommittee. The witnesses are Trump loyalists who will go to any lengths to defend the former president's lies, just like Jordan himself. Weaponization subcommittee is the funniest name they could have come to. I mean, you might as well just call it self-victimization subcommittee. Dan, do you think this is a good use of political resources?
Yeah, other than making nerds like us laugh at C-SPAN, one of the rare times you can possibly make one do a thing, yes. I'll keep my opinions brief because every time I see Gymnasium Jordan, yes, that's Gymnasium Jordan, representative from Ohio, former faculty at Ohio State. Why am I saying Gymnasium Jordan? Maybe you should Google all the things I'm saying and maybe you'll be as confused as I am when you see that Gymnasium Jordan of former Ohio State fame is all of a sudden caring about oversight and all of a sudden caring about procedure and all of a sudden caring about holding people accountable and the weaponization of being in power and having control of things when other people don't. It's really interesting that all of a sudden Gymnasium Jordan, formerly of Ohio State, now just a representative of Ohio, currently cares about accountability because again, certain times in his Gymnasium Jordan related past, he has not. So yeah. Google that.